Everybody, here we go live. It's your favorite Tuesday night race and talk show, live from Texas. It is indeed the Revved Up Sports Show. Showtime, Bobby Chappie, right here. That's me. The Iceman, Rodney Rodriguez, double R. That's the man on the right. And we are back again of another fun-filled episode of the wonderful shit show that's been going on for 9 years now. Almost 9 years coming up here in just a little bit. Be 9 years strong, the show that nobody thought would last. So what you think, dude? How was your Memorial Day triple header?
Yeah, it's good. A busy weekend, with Saturday and Friday and Saturday with work stuff, able to get back here in plenty of time for everything that I was hoping to achieve yesterday, which was to sit around and do nothing. So all of that worked out. 3 races yesterday. I'll be real honest. I didn't care about Formula One. I rarely do. Every now and then I kind of get in the mood for it, but I didn't yesterday. Indy delivered, and so did NASCAR, and we could break all that down.
Well, I mean, I think that the moniker race itself just sucks because they don't pass, and I think that you have to take that into consideration. But I enjoyed it for what it was: the pomp and circumstance, and the greatest day of racing, in at least in North America, for the next 3 or 4 years. Because as we talked about last week, for some reason, unbeknownst to us, the Formula One racing gurus thought it'd be a really good idea to move that race to the first weekend in June. So next couple of years, it would just be wake up in time at around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, depending on where you're at, and watch the pre-race stuff for the Indianapolis 500 on Memorial Day weekend. So no more triple header, just the regular grand old American grade A double header with IndyCar and NASCAR.
Well, people are talking about moving all them around too. We can get to that here at some point with the whole double thing. That's become a topic of conversation about moving Indianapolis back. You remember Indy didn't used to be live, so it was they ran it real early. And Charlotte, the World 600, they ran that early in the afternoon. So now you've got all this hubbub over one guy trying to do this. But we can get to that. But on this show tonight, we are loaded because around these parts, we had lots going on. There's still stuff going on around the country in the short track circles. The show always presented by AV Consultations, Audiovisual Consultations, our friends at On Demand Shirts, the official provider of all your gear for Revved Up. You can actually find that link now in the scroll down at the bottom where you can go to the checkout store right there and buy that stuff online. Find Bobby or I if we're at a racetrack out and about. We will probably have some of that with us. But we've got John Carney in the studio waiting room. He's ready to go. We'll talk with him here in just about 30 seconds. Justin Whitehead coming up, and then Dustin Smith. So we've got the short track stuff covered up, and then we go over to talk about the triple and everything that came out of that. So all of that coming up on the program here this evening. Man, let's dive into the guests because we do have them locked and loaded. And we are joining right here. We're going to the sprint car world. And this dude right here, because we're at the end of May, we're talking about the month of May. I don't know if he wants the month of May to end because it has been a superb month of May for the pilot of my favorite sprint car, the Taco Casa mobile, because I love Taco Casa. It's John Carney. How we doing, sir? Yep, might be muted there, John. I don't think we got you. So try that one more time. Might have you now. How about that? Nope, still got it muted. I don't think it's on our end here. I don't think that does anything on my end. Let's see. There might be a little mute button right down there at the bottom. We're off and flying right here.
Yeah, right.
Let's give it a shot.
It's
there.
that extra give your microphone permission to your web browser that throws everybody off.
Yeah, I know. That's what that's what it is right there. I'm gonna take you off for just a second, John. I'll take you off for just a second. But we're gonna talk to him about everything going on. And I say that, and that's not the main reason that I reached out to John, because as much as I go to Dallas now, as much as I'm over there right by Texas Motor Speedway, that old Shell station that used to be the place where they had all the hot rods and the little cars and all that.
Mm-hmm.
That's now the Taco Casa and the Shell. And I am always hitting the Taco Casa. Super burrito, super taco. Man, God, that stuff is good.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute since I've been that far north, so I got to. I think there's some taco cooks down in San Antonio.
A lot of those, I think there's one here in Hutto, But I think for the most part, most of those are north or northern. I don't know. Well, we need one in Round Rock. I can tell you that. How about now, John? We got you, my man.
Can you guys hear me?
Got you loud and clear, my friend.
All
You've
right,
got a great. You've got it. See, you were that great of a race car driver that you've got somebody that comes in there and makes this stuff work just that damn
Yeah,
fast.
exactly. Yeah, that would be my wife. I'm not big on computers, but we got it going now.
No, man, it's really cool. Thank you for joining in and being a part of
Yeah.
our live show tonight. So let's talk about not only this past weekend, but the month of May, like I was talking about, man. That the Taco Casa Mobile has been on a really good run here as of late.
Yeah, we've had a real good month so far. Not just me, but also the other Taco Casa car, Jeb Sessoms. He's won, I think, 2 races this month, and so as far as a team goes, we've been real good. Our communication between each other has been real good. So anytime you have a 2-car team where we've got twice the information each night, and it's really starting to show working together with those guys.
Absolutely.
So, John, we know about the Taco Casa car now. Talk about your background for a little bit for those that aren't familiar with the way you got to the sprint car world and where you are right now.
Yeah. So I've been racing sprint cars for 25 years now. I started when I was 17. It was a family car at that time, and I think in 2002 or 3, gosh, it's been a long time, but I've had a ride pretty much every time since then. Every year I've driven for a lot of different car owners, a lot of different sponsors. And originally from El Paso, I live in Amarillo now, and I've always tried to maintain good relationships with sponsors and drivers and car owners. And I just got hooked up with the Taco Casa guys at the end of 2023. They were looking for a driver to field a car at the World of Outlaw race, and I was available, and we've been kind of running together since. So it's been a good thing having Taco Casa on our team. I've got a lot of other sponsors that have come along with it, and it's just been real fun. We work together real hard, and we've got real nice cars right now, so everything's going real
And John,
good.
talk about that part. I mean, I think it's so important. We like to talk to younger drivers where that relationship, whether it be, with a sponsor or with a car owner, whatever, that is so valuable and so important. You can't go out and show your ass because that's stuff where those people are investing money in you. I mean, you are an investment in them. That is so important. And I think sometimes the younger drivers kind of forget that when they get out there and something doesn't quite go their way.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I've always tried to be professional at the racetracks, on and off the racetrack, really. But I think the main thing is you just try to build relationships with people, and it's not so much always about trying to get a big sponsorship check as much as it's trying to build a relationship. Like, for example, with Taco Casa, that it's really about brand recognition for them and their restaurants, and trying to stay in front of certain crowds around DFW, and they've got stores in Oklahoma and stuff too. So but the interesting thing about that, how that relationship really started, was my phone just rang one day, and I didn't know who it was, so I just answered the phone, and it was those
Wow.
guys. They looking for a driver and looking for, to put their name on a car. And so I think it's important to answer your phone when it's ringing, no matter who's calling. But yeah, if I had to give any advice to the younger guys, is just stay professional as you can, and always try to be honest about things. And sometimes you have a bad night, and those are the nights when you just gotta tuck your tail between your legs and get back to work on your stuff. And it's easy to get on social media now and complain about bad nights and things that other drivers may have done to you, but it doesn't really shine a good light on yourself when you do that kind of stuff. So I think it's best to just hold your head up, and some nights are good. And when you have a good night, get it out there and let everyone know. And if you have a bad night, just get back to work on your car and try to make it faster.
Yeah, that's good advice, John. And a lot of people need, and not just the younger guys, some of the more experienced guys could learn a lot from that too. Let's talk about sprint cars as a whole, and then more specifically, kind of in Texas. The longer we do this show, the more we realize that I don't think Texas gets enough recognition for the great sprint car drivers that we have in this state. North, mainly a lot of guys northern in North Texas going into Oklahoma. But sprint cars, when you mention sprint cars, everybody automatically thinks the Hatfields and McCoys between High Limit and World Outlaws. And I've seen you run both, I think, if I remember correctly. Is there that big of a divide? I mean, do they twist your arm and say, hey, don't run over here or don't run over there? Or they're like, come race with us. We don't care where you're from.
Yeah, so actually the High Limit guys have been real good about asking or reaching out if we're coming to run their races when they're somewhat close to our area, and they've offered some free pit passes and stuff. So they've been real good about us coming to the racetrack, and their announcers and racetrack tech guys come by, and everyone's real nice with those guys, and so they're very nice about us coming out to race with them. So we Texas is not real big on sprint car racing. If you compare it to like Pennsylvania, Ohio, or California, they've got a big sprint car scene. The local guys in those areas are very competitive. So as far as the Texas guys, we've been running with the Elite Sprint Car Series, which is a 410 series here that Nathan Moore started a couple years ago, and it's been real nice to have 410 sprint cars back in the Texas area. 305s have always kind of been around, but Nathan put his reputation on the line to try to promote 410 racing, and he's been pretty successful at it. So it's a lot of DFW racers. I'm not from DFW, but I'm from West Texas, but I'm willing to travel a little bit. And so it's been nice. A lot of 305 racing in Texas and a lot of 410 racing in Texas. And the Outlaws and the High Limit guys have kind of seen what Nathan has done and brought cars. So when we have races here in Texas with the Outlaws and the High Limit guys, we've had real good car counts. And so it's been nice to get some laps with the 410 and race with those guys, because in the previous years before that, it was hard because we didn't get very many laps at our local tracks because there was no 410 series. So now we've got a nice deal going and we can make some laps, and it's starting to show because our local guys are starting to run quite a bit better with the 410 guys.
Absolutely. And John Carney joining us here on the Revved Up Sports Show on your Tuesday night, driver of the number 2 Taco Casa 410 sprint car. I was up there in, I think it was the end of March for the show there at the dirt track at Texas Motor Speedway. That the rain got us, the hail, everything got us that night, for crying out loud. But just kind of with that thought right there, I really think it's important, and especially even with Taco Casa, because like I was saying, I go to the one right across the street when I'm there. I think that racetrack being active, being influential in all of this with 410 sprint cars in Texas, I think that's really something that can continue to push this. Like you said, I know we are very IMCA stock car, factory stock dominated in Texas and Louisiana and all these parts. But I think having Texas Motor Speedway as a part of this, even just as a venue, I think is something that's pretty powerful when it comes to the monstrous cars that you were driving with those sprint cars.
Yeah. Obviously, I really like stock car racing, by the way. I think stock cars generally put on a really good race at every track I've been to. And I don't know them guys by name, but they certainly put on a good show. So, but it's also nice to see the sprint cars starting to get a little bit of a spotlight with the Outlaws and High Limits, and Power Eye and Elite have combined forces and got some standalone shows at TMS. And I mean, I wish TMS was open, instead of 4 times a year that we could race there a couple
Yep.
times a month. It's an awesome facility. I know it's a big overhead and it's hard to get shows and the promoters alongside because it's a pretty expensive venue, but maybe with these guys keeping it open for 4 races a year, hopefully we can get some more races through the summer and I think it would be good if there was even some stock cars there racing because, like I said, I'm a stock car fan. So it's pretty neat to see TMS open again and just hopefully, things keep progressing and people can keep promoting races there.
Yeah, I think the TMS has always been a challenge because it's always kind of been like that disconnect, right? Like it's kind of like the Legends track that was there, the Little Texas Motor Speedway, right? Like you just they had the ones running on the quarter mile in the summertime, and then they try to have the bigger one, your bigger events was racing on the Little TMS, and it's like it was that give and take of trying to have an extra event, but yet, you're trying to have something that draws the fans. Speaking of drawing the fans, one of the things that we have talked about on the show before is that the level of appeal for your different hierarchy of fans of sprint car racing. You've got fans that if it ain't a 410, they ain't coming. Then you got the fans that know, hey, these are the really fast cars with the wings on top. They don't care if it's 410. They don't care if it's a 360. They don't care if it's a 305. They just know that it's the fast cars with the wings on top. Is that something that you guys have experienced over the years? I mean, or is it mainly you're just a 410 guy, or, when the 305s come to town, is it like, can you tell the difference in the fans where they come from on that kind of deal?
That's a great question. Really, I think it depends on the track. Like, for example, Kennedale on sprint car nights has been really good, whether it's 305 or a 410 show. I live in Amarillo right now, and we've got a racetrack, Route 66, and it doesn't matter what sprint car night it is, and they've ran everything at this point. They've ran 305 wing, 305 non-wing, 410 wing, non-wing, 360 wing. They've ran it all, and every single night that they have sprint cars, it's almost a sellout crowd. So I think it just kind of depends on the track. I wish I had some real scientific data, but Devil's Bowl is closed now, but it seemed like there for a few years we ran 305s and 360s, and the crowd really wasn't all that great. And we had a 410 race there in 23, which was their last year that they were open, and it was an elite outlaw race, 410s, and I mean, it was almost packed. So for Devil's Bowl to be packed like that, it just showed that the fans there definitely liked 410 racing. Unfortunately, the track closed, but there's actually some talk that it might reopen for a few different things, special events, for example. So I don't know. I guess, it just depends on the track, because some tracks just have good crowds on sprint car nights, and some tracks only have good crowds when there's 410 cars. And if you're a diehard fan, you can tell the difference between the two, but generally the racing in the main event is going to be good no matter what. This last weekend we ran that Race On Race Savers Speed Week. I think there was 40 cars the first night. There was 35 cars every night, 5 nights in a row. And the crowds were good. The racing was really awesome. So I think as far as a promoter goes, I think if you promote it just right, you can get fans at a 305 race, but I will say that there's definitely fans that enjoy the 410.
Yeah. And it is one of those things, because kind of the track closest to Bobby and I, because we're in kind of the central part of Texas, is not the closest, but when it comes to sprint car racing, is Waco with Heart of Texas. And, that's one of the tracks where with 305s and 360s, I mean, and you see all the variations. And of course you were there this weekend as well. But, it's one of those things to where over the years, a lot of people would be like, well, it's the 305s. But as the 305 sprint car count grew, it's like, okay, it's a 305s. So I think being a sprint car, that kind of changes a lot of different things right there. I do want to to ask you this, John, and this comes one of our from our chat. Great question right here. From actually a friend of ours involved with a racetrack. I'll kind of read this to you in case you can't see it on the Taco Casa part. Our man Monty Chamberlain, deeply involved there at Texana Raceway Park in Edna, with Taco Casa. It's one of those things. Have they expressed to you? I mean, with the geographical location of where those of those restaurants are, kind of up in that northern DFW, kind of moving up. It is kind of weird that they honed into sprint car racing with you guys. Have they mentioned what that was? I mean, do they see the influx of people with the tracks up there? Any intel on some of that stuff? And if you don't know, fine. But I just think that's an intriguing question.
Yeah, that's another great question. So the demographic of people that come to the racetrack is similar to the same people who eat at Taco Casa every day. So they've seen a lot of positive reviews from the racetrack side. I post a lot of stuff on social media via Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and it gets a lot of positive hits, like fans and customers of Taco Casa making comments and stuff. So I think it's been real good for their business, and the franchisor, he really likes it. A lot of nights we give out Taco Bucks, which is basically a little business card that has $1 on it, and we give stacks of that stuff away every night, and we can see that information come back when people use those Taco Bucks, and it's been a real positive influence on the Taco Casa restaurant. So a lot of times sponsorships don't always go hand in hand with, a business sponsoring a race car. A lot of times they sponsor it because they're a fan of sprint car racing, not so much that they need feedback for their business. For example, a large construction company or a large trucking company, it's generally not going to generate more revenue for their business. But in the case of Taco Casa, it's helped put the business in front of people who are going to go back to that restaurant and eat again. So it's been real good for me as a race team, and it's been real good for Taco Casa as a restaurant business.
Yeah, brand recognition is big, regardless of how you get it, right? As long as it's positive, right?
Yeah,
as long as it's positive, you don't need the bad pub about it. But so tell us about the rest of your season. Obviously, we're kind of midway through it. Hot time of the summertime. What's on tap for the rest of the schedule for you for 2025?
We've got a pretty easy schedule. I put out a schedule at the beginning of the year with some races that basically follows the Elite 410 series in Texas. And then there's some hit and miss 305 races. Like just for example, this weekend, I didn't have anything on my schedule, but they've actually got a race here at Route 66 in Amarillo, and it draws a good crowd. And there's not a Taco Casa in Amarillo yet, but there's some people looking at opening a restaurant. So it'd be real good for their brand for me to race here and sort of establish that recognition with the fans. And if they do open a store here, it'll be real good. So we do have some races in the upper Midwest that pay pretty good, pretty big. So anytime we can win a race, it really helps Taco Casa and my racing page on the promotion side of things.
Absolutely. So is it shopjohncarneyracing.com? Is that the place where I can get one of those caps? Because
so we actually just changed the name to sprintcarney.com. So sprint car and then NEY.
Nice.
Kind of made more sense to change it a little bit. So we just changed that about a month ago. So sprintcarney.com. We've got shirts and hats on there.
Nice.
I like that.
That's a good pun. That's a good play on words. That's really good.
That's really, really good. Really,
Yeah.
really good. Man, as I said, always my favorite car because I absolutely love that place. That's not why I reached out to you. I mean, it's obviously your resume and everything that you have done throughout your career, but I really think that what you guys do, because I've gotten that a lot to where with the Taco Casa, it's like, well, why do they just do that? I'm like, they're honing in to the really the right demographic, and I think you really summed that up nicely. John, thank you for doing this. We'd love to get more conversation with you as the season goes on. You mentioned other sponsors earlier. Anybody else that you kind of want to throw out here while you got a lot of platforms that may be checking this out live or on a podcast?
Yeah, Mesilla Valley Transportation. They're a big trucking company from where I'm originally from, El Paso. They're actually in Las Cruces, but Las Cruces and El Paso share a racetrack now,
Yep.
Vado Speedway Park. He's been sponsoring me for 15 years or so, and Momentum Racing Suspensions. He was in Indianapolis, but he just moved to South Dakota or something like that, and he does our shocks and Triple X Racing Components, Burkham Contracting in the DFW area. It definitely takes a lot of people to fund this and keep it going up and down the road. So we're glad to have those guys aboard, and hopefully we can knock out some more wins this summer.
Best looking and best tasting race car on the track. It is the Taco Casa number 2 right there with my man, John Carney. John, thanks for checking in, dude. Let's do it again soon, man.
Yeah, anytime. Thank you, Rodney.
You
Thank
Take
you, Bobby.
care. You bet.
See you guys.
There he goes right there, man. I tell you, each and every time, Bobby, that I go to a sprint car race, because it's that's kind of the running joke around our house with Taco Casa, because it's like, you know, it's nothing that's going to blow you off the map, but it is so freaking good, dude. It's like a super taco, a super burrito. Back in the old days, I could have 2 super tacos and 2 super burritos. I can't do that anymore with that good iced tea, because they sell that tea by the gallon. Are you kidding me? What more can you ask for?
There used to be one on Congress, or not William Cannon at 35.
Oh,
it's where the old Pep Boys used to be, right there across from Academy. I wonder if that's still there.
Man, it is one of those stores where I wish, and I do forget that there's one in Hutto, but that place is that good with me. I will actually drive all the way to Hutto to have Taco Casa. And folks are like, it's a taco, it's a burrito. No, that's not what it is. It's heaven. It's that good. You know, it's so funny when I go to work in DFW, people are like, are you going to go to Babes? Are you going to go to, you know, the barbecue joint? I mean, all these different places.
Hard Eight, yeah.
The Hard Eight. Yeah. I'm like, well, maybe, but first stop and last stop is Taco Casa. I bring that shit home. It's like I go through the drive-thru and bring it home and put it in the fridge, and it's that good. But yeah, they really have hit a home run right there. And with John Carney, I mean, that is such an accomplished sprint car driver that they have brought on to kind of anchor that team with Jeb Sessoms, who I've kind of reached out a couple of different times with Jeb to get him on the program as well, that John was talking about there with the team. Jeb is in the medical field, so he works the crazy hours, so it's really hard to get him on as well. But really like that connection right there, because it's a great race team, it's a great sponsorship, and I love how they talk about being aligned with the sponsorship. That really kind of puts it all together.
Well, sometimes it's not necessarily about as simple as selling a product, right? Does selling a product when you sponsor a race car help? Sure it does, but that brand awareness is what's critical. I mean, there's a reason why, you know, Winchester's on the side of the Bass Pro Shop car, right? Because there's a brand awareness. When you go to Bass Pro Shop, you're going to look at Winchester's, or you're going to look at the you know, the Arctic Cats and some of those other, you know, different types of tracker boats and stuff. So, I mean, a lot of it's brand awareness. And I think that, you know, marketing 101 is to create sales. You got to create brand awareness. And there's not a better thing to put a brand awareness on than a race car. Yeah. And if it fits your same target market, hell, that's even better. So, I mean, obviously the brand awareness of a Taco Casa car is paying dividends just for getting it brand recognition, but being able to hit the same demographic as the restaurants and the same, you know, same type of deal there, that's critical. And that's the first thing a marketing professor will tell you in college. This first thing a marketing company will tell you in your meeting. Brand awareness is key, and then that leads to more sales, more recognition, and at the end of the day, sometimes that's very beneficial for a race team.
And I'll tell you something that was really powerful that John was talking about right there when it comes to that is the fact that he was talking about it. And it's weird to think about this when it comes to the short track racing aspect. When we take NASCAR and IndyCar and Formula One, I mean, you kind of take all of that out of there, maybe even World of Outlaws and all of that, where he's talking about where they're going to go race in a market where the company that he is representing, that they are thinking about opening up, a business opportunity in that space, and thinking that they can take their sprint, one of the best sprint car teams that you're going to find in the business, that you're going to take that down there, and possibly that's what's going to tip the scales for that franchise or that company to build something in that market. I mean, that's kind of unheard of to hear in short track racing, to where when folks want to sit here and bash on series and bash on racetracks and all this shit, it's like, did you hear what he just said? That's how powerful this is. And back to the social media thing, when you get on there and you're slamming a racetrack or a series, think about the potential customers, potential investors that are looking at what you are posting.
Mm-hmm.
Think before you hit send. And I think it's never more clear than what John Carney just told us here live on the Revved Sports Show.
I mean, as we always say, someone is always watching.
Yeah.
There's always somebody watching. And I think that's crucial that a lot of people forget. That's, that's rule number one. You're always going to be, all it takes is for you to just upset. You got to look at the hierarchy. You got to make mama happy. You got to make, if the kids like you and you do something stupid, mom's going to say, you can't follow that guy. But if the kids like your car because it looks good, or there's a cartoon character or something on it, unwritten rule of thumb, if you have a cartoon character on the side of your car, you should not be an asshole on the racetrack, and definitely not be an asshole in the pits.
Yeah.
If you got cartoon characters on your car, the kids are going to flock to it. Make sure that you're up for the task of being the right driver behind the wheel of said cartoon inspired car.
Well, and that was always a whole thing with me, with the dwarf cars, when I was riding around with a mutant ninja turtle on the back of my trunk there, it's like, okay, I need to behave. I mean, not that I ever misbehave, but all the time. I mean, at the track, just kind of put yourself, in a good light and not, show your ass like I was talking about. And it's the same thing, a lot of these guys, whether it be in the major series or the regional or even the minor leagues, when it comes to short, if you're going to quote scripture on your car and you're going to put crosses and different things on your car, don't go out there and do dumb things. And we've seen that a lot, where it's like, that's not very Christian.
Yeah.
What are you doing here? I mean, you're quoting Proverbs here, but yet you're acting like what would it be? A heathen, like Aunt Esther said. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of one of those things. And I got to play this again because we got a lot of people were sharing this. I don't know how people missed this last week, but I actually had people that messaged me that said, play this again. You can find this anywhere. You can find this on social media. You can find it on the YouTube. You can find it on all the different podcasts with Tony Stewart and the Keyboard Warriors. Seriously, guys, you guys, I mean, if you want it that bad, I'll send it to you at the Rodney R on Twitter. I'll send it to you. This is Tony Stewart on the Keyboard Warriors.
I make a big mistake of reading social media, which I think we all make very vital, critical mistakes by reading the keyboard warriors that are dumbasses that sit in their mother's basements and don't do a damn thing and haven't accomplished anything in their life, and tell you how bad you are at what you do. But they can't tell you to their face. I've never stood at the ropes and anybody come up there and go, you really are bad at this, and you should put your wife in the car. But I read it on the internet that, why is he driving the car? His wife's way better. She almost won a world championship. Well, now they can kiss my ass. They literally can kiss my ass, and I'll sit there and stick it out for them too. Because they don't do a damn thing. They've never accomplished anything in their life. They don't know how to work hard to be successful in anything. That's why they say the shit they say on the internet.
Well,
and to sit there and have to fight and prove these people wrong, that's the pride I take now. Because this is for all those people that say that I suck, I'm no good, I'm terrible, I've never been anything. This is for all those people. They don't have anything to show for it.
There you go.
There it is. Well, AI, you saw the one that I posted. AI did a pretty good job. The only problem with the AI picture that it created is it looked a little too much like me about being the keyboard warrior.
I was going to ask you, how did that come about? I mean, you didn't like give him a something? Well, that really didn't. I mean, maybe the beard and all that, but yeah, I mean that's a really good representation right
You
there.
just tell AI, it's a great thing. You just say, hey, look, I need a picture. What I said is I need a picture of a keyboard warrior with a racing themed basement, and I need race cars on the computer, and that's what it came up with. So, you know, it kind of knew already what it expected. So yeah, that's a key. Like I said, other than looking a little too much like me, but then somebody accused me of being a keyboard warrior about bitching all the time, and it's like I'm not bitching about the product. I'm bitching about the people bitching about the product. That's different.
Well, and that's kind of the whole thing. I mean, I don't mind people that are going to complain about things, but I mean, kind of back it up a little bit. I mean, don't just make a blanket statement, you know, with whatever the case is going to be. You know, the whole thing. You know, we threw hard facts out last week, and I actually got some messages too, where it's like the stats that I threw out about 2023 attendance figures. It's like, you're totally wrong on those numbers. They're not right. I'm like, yes, they're fucking right. I'm not going to give you numbers unless I research them very thoroughly and verify them, and those kind of different things. I mean, everybody's entitled to an opinion. I mean, that's totally fine, but I don't care if you're at a NASCAR race. I don't care, other than Indianapolis, because that place ain't got no empty seats for the 500. But I mean, go to a local track and you're going to find empty seats. And I get so frustrated with the whole knee-jerk response to where it's like immediately let's go to the negative. Anything positive about the sport, whether it be NASCAR. And the circles are the same no matter what. In the sprint car world, the late model world, the asphalt late model world, anything halfway positive, it's boom, the immediate, well, yeah, that's only because of this, or it wouldn't happen if this. And that's where I think as a sport we need to get better. But that happens with the NFL, that happens with Major League Baseball, it happens with all of them, Bobby. It's just a negative world right now. And I think that's the keyboard warrior. That's the part of social media to where it's like, look, nobody knows who I am. I can say whatever the hell I want, and if people don't like it, tough shit. No repercussions.
Well, or the problem is that people feel like their opinion matters when nobody gives a shit what you think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that too.
Yeah. That's the whole part. That's the whole part where I think a lot
somebody
of that,
with no skin in the game thinks their opinion matters, and it doesn't matter because they ain't got no skin in the game.
Yeah, exactly. I did want to mention as we kind of move on, we had Justin Whitehead set up, and again he was like, remind me, but Outlaw Race Cars, if you saw on Facebook, very successful weekend for those guys. So when it comes to Justin being a live guest, that's always really, really tough because he's working on race cars and he had a lot of customers in Victory Lane. So if we're not able to connect with him, we'll certainly be able to, make that happen at another time. But it's so cool about Memorial Day weekend because as so much of it comes down to with the great racing, with the three big races. But, like we were talking about there with John, I mean, everything that was going on during the week leading up to it. I mean, you had so many shows. I mean, the Triple Crown Throwdown that Justin wound up winning right there. All of that was going on. You had that. You had UARA racing at the Freedom Factory. You had so many different events that were going on. And even today, I mean, they're racing right now.
Right now.
Yeah, they're racing at Slinger. It while it is very much a time for remembrance. And I was talking to somebody this morning, as a matter of fact, where I think racing and remembrance when it comes to the military, so massive. I mean, lots of sports do a really good job with it. I think racing is just so much better each and every week, and really, encapsulate it on Memorial Day weekend.
I think so. I mean, I think with the taps and the presentation of colors, the 21 gun salutes and all of that. I mean, the thing, and I totally understand what the weekend is for. I understand what the semblance of yesterday was, right? The problem is there's always that one person gets on social media that reminds you that it's not about a fun weekend. It's supposed to be a somber weekend, right? And I understand that, and I get that, and I respect the fact that you may not appreciate that people want to go out and have a good time on a Memorial Day weekend if you lost somebody that was close, or lost a son, daughter, spouse, brother, sister, whatever the case may be. But at the same time, you just have to understand the way the world works now and appreciate what you have, especially when it comes to racing. There's not a better, there is not a better representation for what the weekend means than what NASCAR and IndyCar do with the 500 and the 600. Not so much at Monaco, because they're not, not part of the North America side of it. But I mean, the way that they do everything at the Indianapolis 500. You had the Secretary of Defense giving the command to start your engines there at Charlotte. Like, it's just, there's so much a connection. You have your flyovers all the time. How kick-ass was that to have those
great
flying over the IndyCar parade lap? Yes, it was 1992-ish Hooters 500, but man, I saw that picture more, or that video more, on TikTok, more on Instagram. Saw pictures of it all over social media. Those pictures with those helicopters flying just above the stands in Indy, that was pretty badass. That was an image that if that doesn't move you on Memorial Day, I don't know if there's a lot that can help you there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it really is. I mean, because when you think about that, because I've got, I've got veterans in my family that are still living. And, I've got, a lot of my circle, are veterans, really, really good folks that have served the country. And a lot of them, it is, it's like, thank you for the handshake. Thank you for the acknowledgement or text or whatever. But, that was our job. That's what we were entitled to do. And that's why we served. And that's why we did what we did. And yes, we think about the ones that didn't make it through that. But at the same time, it's like, let's celebrate the day. I mean, a couple of different folks are like, it's very exciting for me that people get to have all these races and these gatherings. I mean, look at Indianapolis, look at Charlotte. Those places were jammed, and that's because of those folks. And I think that it's just it's a different day and time. I'm just glad that those folks get recognized, because they don't enough. And you don't need a 3-day weekend. You don't need a big car race. You don't need all of that to do that. You can appreciate those that have served and did not get back to us. You can do that all the time. And you don't have to make a big deal about it.
Yeah, you don't have. I mean, my great great grandfather flew B-17s that got shot down there towards the Korean War. So, did we lose family members? Yeah, of course we did. But I think at the end of the day, he fought for the freedom, and it's the freedoms that we share. And it's one of those things that you don't forget it. Obviously, the other part about this that I thought about too, and I saw it during a Coke 600 commercial. America turns 250 years old July 4th, 2026, and that's a Saturday night.
There you go.
You talk about a party of all parties all over the place. America's birthday on a Saturday night turns 250 years old. Whoo, boy.
There you go.
Hopefully they don't schedule a race that night, because I just want to party that night. I don't necessarily want to work that night.
Are you going to have the Firecracker 400? I would hope, on that night. So what better way? One of those races we talked about, and again, there were so many. You had the big three, but you had racing all around the country. Pro late models on the racetrack at the great Mobile International Speedway, right there. They say Mobile, but we'll call it Irvington, Alabama, is where it is. A place near and dear to my heart, and a driver near and dear to my heart. One of the best buddies that I made over there when I got to go down there, and they said, let's let this Mexican come down here and do a little bit of car racing. And this is a guy that is rolling, driver of the number 33 Pro Late Model, Super Late Model Smith Scrap Metal Special. It is our man, Dustin Smith. How you doing, brother?
Good. How about you, man?
Good, man. Good. So how about for you this weekend? Getting a race right there at the hometown track in the Pro, and you go out a hell of a race right there that you guys were having towards the end of that. Kind of talk about that. To win at home on Memorial Day weekend got to be pretty damn special.
Yeah, I feel like the competition's getting tougher there at Mobile, and we're getting more cars. I'd like to see more cars there. But yeah, they gave me a good run for my money this weekend, and I kind of like that. It puts pressure on me as a driver to be better and to outdrive them harder. So I like to see it. I like to see more people come, more racers come, and give the fans a good show what they've been looking for. So
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the resurgence of Mobile. Obviously, Roddy and I knew you were part of some of that in the very beginning when Gina came back and took that place over. And it seems like the crowd was always very appreciative of that racetrack being open, because nowadays racetracks just don't miraculously reopen. Most of the time when they close, they're gone. Most of them even, turn into housing developments, or they turn into warehouses or whatever. So the fact that the bones were still there at Mobile and it was able to open back up, and has been opened up for a number of years now consecutively. What's that been like for the local racing community? Has it sparked it where you don't have to always go to Pensacola, or you don't always have to go to Montgomery? I mean, how's that from the local perspective over the last couple of years? How has that track revitalized the feel of the local racing community there in Mobile and the greater proper area?
yeah, I mean, I feel like it's brought some old racers out and brought them to the racetrack and got back to racing at Mobile. But as of us, as for my team, we try to support, Pensacola, Mobile, Montgomery, just our local, feel like our local tracks. We try to support them, and they support us pretty good. But at one time, there was talk that Mobile was going to be a dirt pit. S Feller, which is a big contracting company here in Alabama, well, Mobile, was going to turn into a dirt pit. The track's right behind one of their
Yep.
dirt pits over there. So that was just going to be a big dirt pit. And luckily, people come together and bought the track. And you play people like Gina. She tried to bring the track back and made it work for a long time. Just I don't really know what happened there, but then Shoemaker came in and bought the track, and he's been doing good with it. So it takes a lot of. I feel like it takes a lot to own a track. Takes a lot of money. Takes a lot of mental, just everything to run a track, and especially try to bring it from the graveyard back up.
Mm-hmm. Dustin, let's kind of talk about with the pros and kind of talking about there with Mobile and so forth. You have the Pro Late Model Series and the different things that run, but I think that with the pros you can't really do it with the supers. But I think one of the coolest things is with the Pro Late Models that you have tracks like Mobile, and you have the different tracks to where you don't have to have a big show. You can have a regular quote unquote Saturday night show to where you go out and run 50, 75 laps, whatever the case is. I think what that's really done is there's a lot of dudes that may not be at the caliber of a Dustin Smith or some of these guys that race pros, but they get to go out there and race, not at the Derby,
Yeah.
not at these different races where they're stuck out there. And it's like a duck with no wings, So I think it really affords folks a great chance to get out there and get some seat time.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. You think about it. You go to a big super race. You got 10 guys that's going
Yeah.
to be on the pit crew, and that's
Yep.
a 150, 200 lap race. You go to a local show like Mobile, 50 laps. You can have 3 or 4 guys with you. One set of tires. So it
Mm-hmm.
kind of takes the cost of the racing at a bigger level, because it does cost. I mean, nothing's cheap in racing. So a local track, I feel like you don't it doesn't cost as much. You mean you might spend a couple of grand, but you won't go. So say you go to a super race. I mean, you spend $10,000 to $15,000 just getting there. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good for the local stuff. The 50 lap races. I think it's cost efficient. It doesn't cost you a lot. You ain't gotta have a bunch of overhead to do everything. It's just all around great for just the backyard racers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's where Ricky is getting a good hold on some of this stuff, to where, like, with the Bigley tune up and stuff there at the Freedom Factory, and even the Bigley 128 down there at the Freedom Factory. I think that, is there a place for these big money, high dollar, prestigious races? The Derby? Yes, there's a place for that. Yes, there's a place for some of these ASA Stars Tour races and stuff like that. But I also think that you kind of got that, you got the local flair that works with Mobile, with some of these 50, 75 lappers. And then you have these just kind of 1, maybe 2-day show, big super late model races that come to town. They bring in a lot of people. They put on some good racing, and you don't have to fork over, the Brinks truck, back it up to the promoter's gate to get, to get in and out of a race weekend. So from the super late model side, is that beneficial for you guys as a race team to run some of these shorter per se, like the tune up and some of the bigly races and stuff like that, as opposed to your bigger high end rattlers and snowballs and Tar Heel 250s at Hickory and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, just say you go to Hickory. I mean, if we would have went to Hickory, I mean, it would have cost us around $20,000 to $25,000 just to go there. You know what I mean?
Shit.
After you got overhead, hotel rooms, fuel. I mean, just everything adds up. I mean, some of the small stuff adds up, and then like the Derby, you're there for a whole week. I leave Monday, which I'm only 45 minutes from Pensacola, but I leave Monday evening and I'm there till Sunday. I mean, and then you got what, 10 guys you got to buy rooms for. So it's just these short day races, 2 day, 1 day races are just a lot cheaper, and I think that's what Ricky's trying to do. I mean, even at the Rattler, I think he cut the Rattler down a day or
Mhm.
so. So I mean, yeah, Ricky, I would rather run Ricky's races because I feel like he's looking out for us racers that doesn't have unlimited funds like some of the Wilsons and Campies. I mean, they got a lot of money, which they got good stuff, and it shows on the racetrack. I mean, every time they go out, they compete for wins. So yeah, I like the 2 day or 1 day shows. It's not, it doesn't cost you as much, and I'm sure my dad likes that as well.
So let's talk about y'all's super program, Dustin, because it's, I mean, obviously, rookie of the year last year in the supers and so forth. But you guys have really made some great strides, man. It's like, it's really cool for me to turn on a super race and there's Dustin Smith in the top 10, right on the cusp of a top 5 and a top 3 in these different things. Kind of talk about, because like it is, I mean, for you guys, it's your family and it's kind of a very tight knit group right there that are working to get out there and race with some powerhouse teams. How have you guys made that happen? Because it seems like you really went to a notebook or something in the off season, because man, you guys are clicking when it comes to a super.
Yeah, I mean, Alex Query has a lot to do with that. My dad as well. Dad spends a lot of money for us to have good race cars. Alex works his tail off to fix race cars up. Make them go around the racetrack so fast. I couldn't do it without them too, for sure. And it's just tough, man. And mentally in the super deal, it feels more like a job.
Yeah.
It's really really prestigious when you step in a supercar. It's just you got people you run against like Steven Nassie, Bo Pollard. Just everybody that at that level. I mean, you're at the top of the short track level. Um, so yeah, just we've stepped back and we've got some good stuff. Just got a brand new supercar from Fury. Has 2 races on it, so we'll be ready for June the 7th at Montgomery. But yeah, just dedication and hard work, and we keep getting results that we want, and learn from there and go from there.
Absolutely.
So a couple of days, I guess it's not a couple of days now, been a couple of weeks. GMS and Tony Uri Jr. announced they were getting into the pro late model and super late model chassis business. Obviously, he's got the connection with Fury and some other stuff. How much of a wrench is that throwing into super late model, pro late model racing by having a brand new chassis manufacturer in there? Is that going to upset the apple cart? Is that going to make it better because you got an extra player? You'll get maybe new factory teams out of it. I mean, from somebody that runs a super and spends a lot of money on Fury cars and other stuff, what's that going to do to have another manufacturer in there?
I don't know on that level. I know something. These Hampton cars, they're really really good. So obviously, I think Tony. I don't know everything that went behind the scenes. I feel like Tony wanted to do some stuff, and I don't think none of it worked out there at Fury. So they went to GMS, and I think GMS has more of the technology and better equipment and more people. I mean, just more knowledgeable people. I don't know. I would like to see what the cars do. I think John Boland and Spencer Davis is going to be a part of that deal. Not really sure, but I would like to see what the cars do before maybe we might get one. Who knows? Or we might stick with Fury. I mean, it's a catch-22 with these cars, man. Right now, Hamke's at the top of the list. You know, you got a Hamke car, you're competing for wins, but in that case, you got to have a lot of money to buy one too. So,
yeah. And isn't that really the trend, Dustin, that we're seeing right now, where you see a bunch of, as NASCAR continues to evolve and all the different things with the Cup Series and all this, you see a lot of, I mean, even in our business, I mean, in my business, you see broadcasters that are now going to short track, you know, now they're doing short track stuff where we see, whether it be a broadcaster, whether it be an engineer or a car owner or influential people, to where it's like, they're like late to the party. We've been doing this for the longest time. We know how fucking badass this short track racing is. And now they're joining our party. Kind of seems like what's going on right now, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, just like Rhett Jones, you know, they bought Port City, and you know they got a whole full-time ARCA deal, and you know it's just I think everything's starting to trickle down from NASCAR to short track racing, and people starting to figure out like, wait, there's more, you know, there's more fan base and more, you know, spectators and more racers, and the short track deal is kind of like the car store, you know,
Uh-huh.
it was on FS1, so I mean it's pretty cool to see the short track drivers and spectators and you know their sponsors get the well, how do you say it, get seen, I guess that's how you
A little
say
bit
it,
of
get
run.
seen better. So
Yeah.
I don't know, it just, but at a time that all the stuff comes trickling down from NASCAR, it's going to cost us short trackers more because the technology is going to be better and stuff like
Yeah.
that. People's just going to go crazy, and you know, I don't know.
I don't know. I know what you
All
mean.
right, so Dustin, I'm gonna go off the script a little bit because you mentioned Rhett Jones, and it got me thinking about something. As a guy that's been doing this for a hot minute and raced a couple of higher end cars. Speaking of Rhett Jones, what's your take on the whole Cletus McFarland experience here lately? Obviously, he got when he was at Charlotte. You know, I thought he did okay, minus that stepping on it on the restart a little bit. But everybody's been there. You know, when you don't have the experience, what's your take on somebody like Cletus? Is this a good thing? Or is it a bad thing because you got a real life Ricky Bobby out there that TikTok videos only take just that little snippet of what he says and turns it into the biggest redneck sounding thing you've ever heard? What's your take on somebody like that?
I think it's good for the ARCA side of things. You know, he brings a whole new fan base in, from doing crazy stuff to drag racing. I think he just brings a whole nother fan base into the NASCAR scene, and I think he's good for it. Honestly, he's funny, you know. And what you said about him stepping on it, we've all been there, right? You know,
Everybody's
and
been there, yeah.
it's just racing. I feel like it's just racing, and everybody was mad at him, and I'm thinking in the back of my head, I mean, anybody. I mean, Kyle Busch can do it right here and running the Oxford race.
Yeah.
It's just it happens. It's racing. Nobody can stop it. Nobody can prevent it. Just you seat time and more seat time, you'll get better.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Last one for me, Dustin. I got to ask you. So, talking about NASCAR and all the different things, you got an opportunity to be on the big track. Kind of talk about that experience right there. I saw when you were testing and so forth. I'm like, man, I want to reach out to. I was going to reach out to your dad and say, hey, man, do you need a media guy that week or that day or whatever was going on? Kind of talk about that part, man. Being out there and driving one of those. That one kind of, I would imagine, make you tingle in some spots, being out there driving one of those.
Yeah, you know, it's totally different, you know, from what I'm used to, going way faster. Different car, different people, you know, just different everything. This is a whole different experience, and I really enjoyed it. I got the opportunity because I was Rookie of the Year in the Southern Super Series. All I had to do was show up with my helmet and my suit and go out there. But yeah, it's fun. It was fun. I would like to do it again. It's definitely a little scary going on your first lap and you just got it floored and you don't live. So it's something cool, you know. I'm not too big on super speedways. I would like to run an ARCA car, but maybe somewhere like Iowa or Richmond or you know somewhere that takes a little bit of, you know, brake in and throttle and just a little bit more driving instead of holding it wide open. So
No doubt.
Yeah, that you didn't chicken foot it like they did Cletus did in Dale Jr.'s or Dale Senior's truck, huh? You just had to hold it. What? So what happens when you go wide? Do you get a cramp? I mean, when you hold that damn thing wide ass open and you never lift, like for me, like if I'm on the brake in traffic too long, my leg starts cramping. I can only imagine just flooring that thing to the firewall. Like, I mean, what happens if you get a cramp? You just grin and bear it, or you're like, what the hell am I doing here?
Just gotta keep digging. I know,
Yeah.
like we run like 10 consecutive laps there, and I took my left foot and held it on my right foot, and just kept my foot just pinned to the firewall.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was like one of the first times that I ran a half mile. You know, it's like, okay, you run, because I was a quarter mile guy back in those days. And it's like a half mile high bank, kind of like Mobile, but with walls. And it's like they tell me you run all the way down there and you lit off at this point. And it's like I'm going down the straightaway, I'm to the floor, and I'm like, okay, I need to freaking lit off, right? and I keep hearing, don't lit off until you get to the light. I'm like, that's impossible. That's impossible. But yeah, I can only imagine that. So what's next, dude? I mean, the pro and the super program's going in great directions. What's the summer look like for you guys in the 33?
Yeah, actually, we're leaving in the morning to go to Nashville to run the Thursday Pro Late Model race. And then we was going to go to Cordell, but we kind of decided not to go do that Saturday. But I think our next super race will be June the 7th in Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many more races we got left. It's hard to keep count.
Oh, man, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot.
It is.
But just remember, though, when you get older, these times will be more fun. You may, like listening to Rodney talk about it all the time. I remember, like he talked about it just now. I went to that half mile and I had to pinch that seat going into turn one. That's what it's going to be like for you in about 25, 30. Actually, hell, as old as Rodney is, about 30 years from now.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Dustin will still be racing at that point. I'm sure there with a great team. Dustin, you mentioned your dad right there. You talk about all it's just such a great group and kind of core that you have there at Mobile. Talk about all the folks that help you guys make these damn race cars so damn fast and have put you in just a great position right now.
Yeah, my dad's definitely on top of the list. And then Alex Query and my girlfriend that's behind me in the bed, she keeps my suits and everything else clean.
Nice.
And just everybody at the shop, and all of our sponsors, people like Johnny's RV, SA Recycling, Hooney's Auto Sales, just they all come, they're just big help to our team, and that keeps us going each week.
Absolutely. All right, my man, keep doing it to it. Congratulations on that big win over the Memorial Day weekend. I'm heading to Mobile soon, man. I'm gonna run up on you guys here at some point. Get back out there and do it again, dude. Congratulations, brother, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. Take care. There he goes, Dustin Smith. And it really has been with them. They really have progressed. And the super thing, I mean, I know as well as he has done in the pro late models, but he's done a really, really exceptional job in the pro to put themselves, because they are. I mean, they're a family-owned team. They've done a really good job to make themselves that good, and it's really cool to see.
I think it's a good story where you've got a local guy that starts running, starts moving up the ladder and goes from one class to the other and is able to get, hometown wins in a pro late model. And, you've got that progression where you end up, moving up. It's not like you don't see it very often where somebody just hops into a super and is just lights out and lights up the world. Those are the ones they're very rare. They're unicorns.
Yeah.
You don't see it very often. And so, you've got to build the program, and that's what they're doing. They've got the right kind. They got the car that fits the driver. They've got a crew chief that fits the car and the driver, making that program work. And it's almost like it's a game plan that a lot of people need to follow more than, well, let's run 4 or 5 pro late model races till you crash it. When the car owner gets pissed that you crashed it, we'll just put you in another car, run 4 or 5 races till you crash out when the car owner gets pissed. And after crashing a couple of pro late models, you're like, well, we pretty fast. Let's put in a super. And same scenario over and over. And then next thing you know, they're in an ARCA car. And, so the fact that he's trying to build the program the right way, step by step, brick by brick, is a noticeable change of something that you don't see a whole lot in that short track world when it comes to pro late models, super late models.
No doubt about it. Doing it the right way. A family-based team right there with a great support system there in that Mobile area. They've always had that, and the proof is in the pudding right now as they have continued to progress. And he wins this weekend there at Mobile International Speedway. And when it comes to the pros, that 33 car, that's one that you're going to find at the top of the heap each and every time. Coming up, we will talk about the triple, maybe not so much about Formula One, but we'll talk about Indy. We'll talk about the World 600. All of that coming up. We'll give you our thoughts as the Revved Up Sports Show rolls on. But right now, a word from our friends at My Race Pass.
Welcome to the My Race Pass app, the #1 app for motorsports fans. We want to make sure you get the most out of your My Race Pass app experience. With your new free account, you can use the My Race Pass app to see race day information, including event entries and official lineups and results for over 600 organizations across North America. You can also see track information and purchase online event tickets for select tracks. With your free account, you can also search for a track or series on the My Race Pass app and favorite their profile to receive news and race day notifications on your mobile device. To see more information and to see which app subscription is best for you, be sure to visit getmrpapp.com. My Race Pass.
Yep, get that thing. It really is cool. I mean, you can do fantasy racing.
I forgot about it renewing. I got the email saying that your subscription is renewed.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, great, that's good.
Yeah, and it's really super cheap. I mean, because the thing is, we talk about streaming and all the different things. I mean, you can actually go in there because, I mean, a lot of times when I'm doing, work for this show, I mean, that's where I go to get results. I mean, because obviously we can't get folks to send them to us. So you can go there and find those. So it's a really cool tool to be able to stay in the know with everything.
Plus, on sometimes you can, depending on the racetrack, you can hear your announcer. The announcer feed is there on My Race Pass too. So.
Absolutely, there you go. A couple of quick notes before we dive into the the big three or whatever you want to call it. Right there, we mentioned the Bigley 128 Memorial Tune-Up 125. Colin Allman, the winner there in the super late models. And that's a guy right there when you want to talk about Derby favorites and different whatevers that it may be in UARA. It's Allman is one of those guys that has gotten really, really good. He's always been really, really good, but their program has stepped itself up and he's put himself in positions to win a lot of these races and is now, very much a favorite when it comes to these things. So keep your eye on Colin Allman. He wins over Kendrick Cryer and Nick Neri. A couple of good chasers right there that were doing good stuff. Dodge Colbert, the winner in the Sportsman in the UARA division there at the Freedom Factory. Closer to home, the Stems, South Texas IMCA Modified Series, heads over to the South Texas Race Ranch on a Sunday race. Always a really cool kind of a double header there in Corpus Christi, and it is our man Johnny Torres coming home the winner there. So Stems continuing to, I think it was right at about 20 cars. That's always tough on Memorial Day weekend. But again, they continue to bring a lot of cars in it and loaded fields, even on a lower car count weekend, Bobby, that we might call it. Still, it's top-notch drivers throughout that field.
Yeah, definitely a way to have a very good, it was a handful of guys, a fistful of guys, I guess more, 6 or 7 guys that could win that race there at the race ranch over the weekend. And, it's like I was talking to our friend Marianne at Cotton Bowl Speedway, Marianne Nauman, and it's like, racing on Memorial Day weekend is so tough because there's so many extra factors that are making it hit and miss. Mm-hmm. And I talked about this with Monty and the gang down at Texana too. It's like, you've got graduations happening that weekend. You got people that just want to stay home and barbecue. You got people that want to go to the lake, want to go to the pool. And then you've got some people that, hey, this is a great weekend to go racing. And so it's so hard to know what you're going to pull, right? We saw it, just kind of saw it in Houston, kind of saw it a little bit at Cotton Bowl. I thought for everything that was there, I thought the car count was good. Thought the fan count was decent. When I was live and in person there at Cotton Bowl. So it's, we saw it at some of the different racetracks that you stream around the country were a little hit and miss. Some racetracks that are a little bit bigger were a little smaller, and some racetracks that were a little smaller, actually a little bit bigger. So it's such a weekend for hit and miss stuff. It's the plight of the promoter, as we talk about on the show.
And so much of that is on the short track side, to where it comes down to, when folks want to talk about people not being able to go to NASCAR races, or they don't go, whatever the case may be. I mean, it is. I mean, lodging and all of that. You can usually get into a NASCAR race for it's a really cheap ticket these days. And the whole thing is, I mean, let's be very transparent here. You can buy a ticket in the rafters at a NASCAR race and probably move down. I mean, you can seat chase. I mean, you can do that at one of those races, but you get the same thing when it comes to, I mean, for example, for me, if I'd have been home this weekend, if I'd have been home the entire weekend, I would have, whether working or not, I would have loved to have gone to Corpus down there to, spend the Saturday and Sunday, maybe Friday evening down there doing whatever, maybe go catch the Saturday part and get down there on Sunday. But the whole thing you have to factor in there. You factor fuel, you factor in the lodging. I mean, I've kind of changed in these days to where I kind of like to stay in nicer places. So, and by the time you go down there and you're going to spend money to do stuff, I mean, that factors in. And now when it comes to Racing America, Race On, Flow, I mean, you don't have to do that. So I think that's where, I think that's a one thing that kind of drives me a little crazy, to where, like I talked about, when people want to say, well, the stands weren't full at Charlotte, which are pretty damn full, or whatever track. I mean, your local track is probably not full either. And that's just the nature of what we're doing now. I mean,
Well, they're probably not going to the local track either.
That's it.
Very few people do we know on social
right.
media that bitch about everything actually show up at either a big track, a national track, or a short track.
It goes back to the whole thing we're talking about with the keyboard thing. It's like the race is going on and they're bitching about what's going on at the NASCAR race or at the short track, and they're bitching from home. And that's where, again, I mean, if you want to bitch about something that you have more validity with. And that's going to happen. But it just, and again, like I said, we see it in all the sports, but it just seems like racing. We just go a little over and above when it comes.
They're like WWE fans, regardless of what happens. You got the internet wrestling community, you got the internet racing community.
Well,
where they get pissed no matter what they see, right?
Well, and it's like with football. I mean, I see it with football to where it's like the NFL sucks. I'm like, okay, well, you got the UFL. Well, I ain't watching that. It sucks. Well, what do you want? I mean, what is your flavor? College football. Okay. Are you watching college football? Well, it sucks too.
I can't watch it. I don't have anywhere to watch it. It's on pay TV.
Well, and let me tell you something, and that leads right into what we're talking about, because when it comes to Indianapolis and with Charlotte, it seems like to me, and again, these were both, new TV providers that were taking over the helm right here. Fox with Indianapolis and Prime with Charlotte. I happen to think, and I'm very critical of TV. I think both of them did a really, really damn good job, in my opinion, with those races that we saw yesterday.
Few too many commercials on Fox for me.
Well, they sold their inventory out.
They did, and I understand that it's an expensive ass property. You got to sell commercials. They did kind of have them loaded up towards the beginning, so that was a plus. Yeah. I thought that I could definitely tell that they put a lot more into that than they did any NASCAR race this year, including the Daytona 500, which we'll talk about the ratings here in a minute on that deal. But as far as Amazon Prime, the only people that I have seen bitch about the race on Amazon Prime are still the same people that were bitching they don't have Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Because anybody that watched it, you and I included, thought they just flipping nailed it. I mean, the picture was crisp and clear. The commentary was good. Sure, occasionally they walked on each other, but that's because Junior's not watching the monitor. He's watching the racetrack. And I like the fact that Prime TV followed him. The director followed him when he's talking about racing for 10th and 11th. Here, watch this. It wasn't racing for the lead. It was racing for 10th and 11th. They followed Junior around that racetrack, and they were talking about racing throughout the field. The pre-race was great. The post-race was outstanding. I think maybe because it was longer than like 2 minutes, and I get that there's no hard out with Prime because they're their own entity, right? They don't have another sitcom coming in to follow the race or anything like that, so they can go on as long as they want. But when you end the night with a Busch Light toast at the desk with Justin Marks and Ross Chastain and Dale Jr. and Steve Letarte and Corey LaJoie, that ends on a high note. That was pretty cool.
I think that's the best part of this, where a lot of what Prime did, it had a lot of that speed feel, the speed channel. It really did kind of have a lot of that, and I've seen a lot of the, where folks are with the accolades, and I got to tell you, let's take the whole thing about Danielle Trotta being a nice looking lady or whatever. That lady needs to be an anchor on that show. She drove that ship exceptionally well, I think. And we see a lot of folks that have come in here, and some of the younger ladies that have kind of taken that mantle and are now doing that. I mean, lots of them are friends of both you and I, and not singling out anybody at all. But what she did yesterday, I think, was exceptional. She was so good driving that. I mean, everything, whether it was with Carl Edwards and LaJoy, and then bouncing back and forth to the booth and everything. I just think that it was top notch. And look, I don't know what the future holds when it comes to TV contracts and all that, but if the whole fact of paying extra, the pay-per-view, the subscription thing, if I can get that coverage each and every time, I'll pay the whatever it costs. It ain't much.
I paid for it. Yeah.
I pay for it. I don't even know what it costs.
The graphics were better. The commentary was better. Like, it was just
way better.
By far, leaps and bounds, the best production of the year. And
Not
to top it off,
close.
it was a really decent race for 600 miles.
And I got to tell you, when it comes to, when we talk about production and the value of the production, who I think is second this year in production and commentary and all that shit, is the CW. I mean, I know we've got Fox and NBC, which, and again, it's so different, and folks just don't understand when it comes to that, when it comes to those big network type things, everything that goes into this. But I think that putting these races and putting these productions on those platforms, yesterday was really, really good. Even when the race sucked, it was good. You know what I mean? So, and that's different because we don't see a lot of that. And it was so much of it, the camera stuff, to where it's like, they're not fixated on first. They're it's not a guy up there hitting a button that's just doing whatever they are. They're very honed in. Alan Alexander is one of the best play-by-play guys that there is. And he drove that, and it was really, really good. I have no complaints about that stuff.
Yeah, he does the same thing on Saturdays with the Xfinity series.
Yeah, and
with that booth has been very entertaining as well on the Xfinity series with Jamie McMurray and Parker Klingerman. That's been really good. That's been a really good mix that they've had as far as like talent and play-by-play and analysts and stuff like that. So that's been really good to see. As far as the Cup side, it's what I thought you were going to get with Dale Jr. and Steve Letarte. I thought when Gordon stepped in there, I thought he did an exceptional job, kind of, as the head man in charge over there at Hendrick now, as far as, channeling his old inner broadcast roots and stuff like that. That was a good time. I thought the whole production was really good in terms of just the whole way it worked out. And, it helped that the race was good too. So were there moments of boringness? Yes. But actually, a lot of times you could feel that in a broadcast. The next thing you know, here comes some commercials during downtime, during some boring ass times.
Yeah.
And they did. When it was green, I only recall a certain amount of full-fledged, full-screen commercials during that race. Most of it was side by side.
Mm-hmm. And I will tell you, when it comes down to the booth, because that was the one thing, but Alexander being a play-by-play on the play-by-play, I think one of the things that has made him even better is that for the races that he's done, it's always this influx of guest people. He's never had a regular booth like he's going to have right now. So it's always these different people. But I think that what was so cool about yesterday, even with Steve Letarte, who is a great, when it comes to the crew chief thing, I really like what he does. He's not sitting there talking about himself and what he did in the past. He's just kind of breaking down the race as it goes. And with Junior, I mean, that personality right there, I mean, that is NASCAR in my opinion. But the whole thing is, it was like, you can go back and listen to this when Alexander decides when it's his time to make a call, they shut up. They are not talking. And that's command on the booth. So I think that was really, powerful, seeing that. And again, what he's done on the CW and all of that. I think this kind of is a new path forward to where, and a lot of what they did, the post race, I think post race is so important, because now, the interview on the track and all of that, I'm not the biggest fan of that. I wish that they would just let the dude talk in victory lane. Let's talk to him over there like it used to be. But I mean, that's old man syndrome, I guess. It's a different day and time. But I think that what Prime did, like we said, and I texted you yesterday, to me, it looked a hell of a lot more clear to me.
It was good.
Wasn't it? I mean, it was like the turf and all that stuff. Everything looked so good. And I think it
kind of showed how dated the Fox coverage is.
Exactly.
Remember when Fox first took over and we were talking about how dated the
CBS,
TNT, CBS, and all of that used to be when Fox first took over? Same thing with Amazon. I thought for sure that was going to be the issue, but I think it just showed how different that they really were compared. And it was a breath of fresh air, and a lot of that's going to carry over into TNT, I think, as well. Some of the broadcasting talent and some of that is carrying over into TNT. I thought Trevor Bain was actually a fairly decent pit reporter. That was kind of a surprise to me.
I thought that was going to be, when I saw that he was going to be on pit road, I'm like, all right, here we go again. Another one of these guys that's doing that job. I thought he did really well, and they've worked with them. I mean, look, Kim Kuhn is solid. I mean, she's great at what she does. But I mean, I really think that, and the thing with Fox, it's like on the Fox NASCAR coverage, we've talked about the grid walk and all these different things they do. I mean, it's old, it's soiled, move on, do something different. And I think a lot of what we saw yesterday on the Prime broadcast, Bobby, was like, okay, it's a breath of fresh air. It's something different. It's not the same
dog and
blah, blah.
show.
Yeah. And I think that's where Fox maybe we'll kind of look at this and say, okay, maybe we need to change some of the old school stuff that, the shit that worked in 2010 has kind of moved on. It's kind of outdated, like an old race car. I don't want nobody to get fired, but I think yesterday was really a blaring indication on this is how you need to do broadcasting right now. Solid job.
The question is, what's going to happen when NBC takes over? And NBC was a breath of fresh air, a season or 4 or 5 seasons ago. So I think we just get complacent and used to what we have. When we get something new, it's like that brand new Christmas toy. You get to play with it because it's brand new, and then in a couple of months, you're like, whatever. The thing that I like is when people see races with like that car tomorrow. They talk about how great the racing was with the car tomorrow. When that car tomorrow was racing, everybody bitched and moaned about that car too.
Yeah.
Now that they, you get on Tubi and they're like, oh, man, that's that race from Bristol. That was a badass race at Bristol.
Yeah.
You're like, when that race started, y'all hated that car and y'all hated that race.
Yeah. I just think that so much of it is that where the TV partners, they really have that they found really cool things that worked well, and they just continue to do them. They don't let them evolve. And I think that's like yesterday where, all the time on Fox and on NBC, they go to the cutaway car and all this stuff. I saw that a couple of times yesterday, but it wasn't this whole explanation of shit that the regular fan's not going to understand. It was pretty simple on what they were talking about, to where Larry Mack and some of these guys, it's like they're sitting there and they're talking to stuff that you and I and a 50-year race fan, we understand what they're talking about. But most people are like, what is that?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I think it's a very bright future for that. I think it's going to continue. And they did the pre and the post really just solid home run, just entertaining. And that's what this shit has to be right now.
Wait till they get to Viva Mexico.
Oh man. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just wait. I mean, that's going to be, I can't even imagine what's going to happen there. So yeah, good job by Prime. And when it comes to Fox, yeah, I see a lot of folks that are folks always bitch about the Fox part of the NASCAR broadcast. I think a lot of that is where NASCAR is in control of the NASCAR media and so forth. I think what happened here was IndyCar was with the new package. It's like, go. I mean, I don't know that for sure. I mean, I'm probably speaking out of term, but it seemed like Fox had total creative control on this, and they just kind of the same thing. I mean, you had Chris Myers, you had all that right there, where you still had kind of some of those staples that you get with Fox. But I just think that they were. I saw folks saying, "Well, where's the lineup? I need to see the lineup." Well, you bitch about it on the NASCAR race where that lineup's always on the left side. I mean, what do you want right here? I think Fox did an exceptional job on that Indy 500 yesterday.
Speaking of Fox, they didn't release numbers, at least not according to Adam Stern. All they released was the statement that said, for the third time in the last 30 years, the Indy 500 got bigger viewership than the Daytona 500 per release from Fox. Both races this year did indeed have weather delays, although how long was the weather delay? We thought the buildup to the 500 was great with Trump being there and all the pomp, the circumstance that comes on with the Daytona 500. They get 4 laps in, 2 laps in, whatever it was, and the rain delayed for 4 hours. Indy had the pomp, the circumstance, just like you would expect with the Indianapolis 500, and boom, it has a 30-minute rain delay. So I think that, which to me was weird, obviously has a lot to do with the weather, because we've seen the 500s that coincide with Super Bowls are really, really highly rated. And so but as much production, and I mean, they've been promoting the Indy 500 on Fox since the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And so, it's kind of like when you tell somebody that doesn't know jack about racing and you say, name me one racing event you think of at the top of your head. Well, one thing they're always going to come up with, Indy 500.
Yep.
It's been around for 109 years. So that becomes a unique challenge for NASCAR, obviously, to a certain extent. But I don't know. Just with the way the popularity, it's hard for me to believe that on a weekly basis, NASCAR stomps IndyCar's ass in the ratings. And you're going to tell me that they got higher ratings than the Daytona 500, but yet with the little asterisk that said the Daytona 500 was delayed by 4 hours versus 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just Fox tooting its own horn about their Indy 500 coverage, in my opinion.
Yeah. Indy is just different. I mean, there's so much that goes in. I mean, it's a worldwide thing, where Daytona, I mean, it's getting there. It's not at that point. And the thing about the 500 is, I was thinking about this yesterday as I was driving, because I was listening to IndyCar radio, and they were sitting there talking to all these different guys. And it's like, some of them I had no clue who they were, but I was totally locked in because they were about to run the 500. And the pomp and circumstance and everything that goes into that race, it's just something surreal, I think. And you can get totally drawn into this, not even being there. And I think this is where Fox did a really good job, to where they embraced all of that, to where NBC hadn't done that in the past, to where NBC was being a little more technical about some of the stuff that they were doing, it seemed like to me. And I think what Fox really did with this is they dumbed this race down for a lot of non-race fans that were going to catch it for the first time on Fox. I mean, I can tell you here on Fox and Fox Austin on Channel 7, I saw them doing stuff, Thursday and Friday, to where they were talking about the 500 and being total I mean, they had no idea what they were talking about, and they were making it very clear, but yet really honing into the coverage. And I think that's where, when it comes to watching the 500 pre-race, I saw you post something about this, to where it's like, if that doesn't get you somehow, whether it's, emotional, or because of Memorial Day weekend, or because of the history of the race, or memories of the race, or something like that, if that doesn't get you, even as somebody that has never watched that before, knowing how big that race is, that's where you need to get your feelers checked, because that race is that damn big. And I think Fox delivered. I mean, they really did. I mean, they came in and they're doing different things. I don't know what changes on the NASCAR coverage. I think a lot of this is, like I said, that driven by the sanctioning body, to where NASCAR has their, this is the line that you walk. IndyCar doesn't have that. And here's the shitty part, Bobby. Everything that IndyCar, the NDT IndyCar series and the Indianapolis 500 just did, everything that they just pulled off yesterday, getting that all done, we're not even going to talk about them for the next 2 months.
Actually, Detroit is the week after. Detroit,
it is the week after. You'll get some
of
the residuals.
But the ratings would be half of what they were for the 500.
That much? You think it'd be half? I think people will turn it on.
Third.
Yeah, they'll turn it on and be like, oh, they're not going in a circle. And I think that's the problem for IndyCar. And I understand the problem, because, man, look at those guys yesterday. Are you kidding me? That you want to talk about hanging your nuts out and dragging them on the ground? That is crazy what these guys do. But That's where it sucks for IndyCar racing, because you have the Indy 500, and that's it. That's it.
Yeah, it just proved they need to race more ovals.
Yeah, man, I totally agree. And I know that a lot of that is for the betterment and the safety of the drivers. But I mean, imagine those guys at Texas. I mean, if you could run like a Saturday night race at Texas and put it on Fox, in some proximity close to the 500, shit, yeah, I think you'd have a really good audience.
Yeah, I mean, I think you would too, versus this Arlington Grand Prix they're going to start coming up with in 2026. But
oh God, yeah, it's like you've got this great venue right here that's waiting, that's aging, that you could continue to go at. Some of the best races at TMS have been in the IndyCar series.
IndyCar series, yeah, from the first one to the last one.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I think all in all, I mean, both races. I mean, obviously, you would have liked it. By the way, and then I saw it after the fact. Oh, by the way, Marcus Ericsson got thrown out. It's like, oh, I'm glad he didn't pass him.
Yeah, that would have been ironic.
How do you handle that? I mean, remember the Mario Andretti, Bobby Unser thing back in '81? It's like, well, that dude was just passing under the caution. How do you explain that? So, yeah, I mean, Alex Palou, I mean, it's and that's the other part, Bobby, where I think that IndyCar did a really good job this month, because Alex Palou, for IndyCar fans, is the guy he is the man. I mean, he wasn't really the guy. I mean, there were a couple of times where you saw him talking about getting a girlfriend and doing all these different things. They kind of pushed him a little bit, but it was Newgarden. It was all the other guys and
Pato.
Yeah, Pato. Yeah, Pato. But hey, man, I think it worked out good.
Well, I think that the one thing, like I noticed it at work today, when somebody asked me, they said, "Hey, I only caught just a tick of the Indianapolis 500 because I know that you're a race fan and you'd mentioned watching it on Friday." They're like, "Who won?" I'm like, "Alex Palou." They're like, "Who?"
Yeah.
That's the bad part about it. And then, of course, Chip Ganassi pronounces his name wrong.
Mm-hmm.
During the post-race interview, Alex Palou. You're like, "Oh shit, is that right? Have we been saying that right the whole time?"
Yeah. It was kind of weird to me that today I had some folks, in sports media reaching out. And they, wanted a recap of what happened over the weekend with the racing, and they're like, "We saw that Ross Chastain won. Who won Indy?" They're more familiar with Ross Chastain than Alex Palou, that just won the greatest race of them all. But hey, man, that's the whole thing. That's where it kind of sucks for Indy that they don't have the next event that, with NASCAR, you've got, the Southern 500 is going to bring people in, and Talladega, Daytona is a playoff start and all that. That's where I just wish that IndyCar would have that chance, but it's a different.
I like Nashville coming up after the 600 though, because now you got another major market to feed into.
Yeah.
Yes, Nashville Super Speedway is 40, 50 miles away from downtown Nashville, but they're going to talk about Tootsie's. They're going to talk about Kid Rock's bar, Garth Brooks's bar. You're going to see all those what do you call it? Vignettes, I think is the right word for those. We're talking about all that stuff that connect. I think you'll see talk about the connections. You'll definitely see references to the fairgrounds. With this Amazon Prime coverage and stuff like that. Dale Jr. is going to mention the fairgrounds a whole lot, and they'll just be. I think that it's a great schedule to where you leave one of the marquee events, one of the crown jewels, and go straight to a major market like Nashville.
Yeah.
I don't think it has the same effect as coming to a major market like Austin.
Yeah.
Or you have Loudon. It's not the same thing. I think leading. I think after every single crown jewel event, they come to a major market. Now, granted, yes, Austin was the third race of the year, or the second race of the year. So, leaving off of the Daytona 500, but I think that they do. It's kind of like when the playoffs start. Like you need to go to somewhere big. You do Darlington, get your race fans hooked. And then your next race, I think, is in Vegas. Some years and stuff like that. So I think that it becomes, a lot of that. And I think the schedule is going to be completely different next year. There's already talked about moving stuff around and stuff like that. So we'll see. We mentioned that last week. If you want to go back and check out our extended discussion on NASCAR at the end of last week. So. That one, we did get a lot of good props about that show, even though it ran long.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, but I think that both TV partners did well with and Prime, to me, especially being that they're new, because that was the whole thing. What do you expect? I mean, what are they going to do? I mean, they nailed it. I mean, they absolutely.
Nobody said anything bad about it that was able to watch it. It was the same people. I ain't paying for Prime. I'll watch it on FS1, but I ain't paying extra for Prime.
Well, it's like I tell everybody, next time that you're going to buy something stupid on Amazon, you probably have Prime. Go up there and click that, and it will direct you right to the race. Before we get out of here, Bobby, I found something right before we came on the air. I kind of want to run this by you here, maybe about 10 minutes or so. I found something today, us being in Texas right here, dailywise.com. Dailywise.com. Seems like a very legit website. They went in and they came up with the 12 barbecue joints with the most with mouth-watering brisket and ribs. And I'm only bringing this up because they kind of hit closer to our proximity here in Central Texas. The first one that they mentioned was Black's Barbecue, the Lockhart location.
Which one?
The original, the one over there in
not
downtown.
Terry's.
No, not Terry's. Not Terry's.
Terry's I went there a couple of weeks ago. Good Lord, that place is expensive.
Yes.
It's like $40 a person.
Yes. Very. I bought a family pack a while back for one of the holidays. Yikes. Had to get a loan. Black's Barbecue and then Franklin's Barbecue. I've had both of those. Both good, but
I'm not standing in line 6 hours for Franklin's. It's good, but it's not standing in line for 6 hours kind of good.
I agree. The next one they hit, and they're staying. This is not a Lockhart-based website or not. I mean, and I'm only doing this because Texas Monthly did their thing or whatever. They went to Smitty's in Lockhart, which I think Smitty's when it comes to brisket is really, really good. Maybe not the best sausage, but really, really good.
Their sausage, in my opinion, is a little inconsistent. Sometimes you get it, it's too greasy. Sometimes you get it, it's too dry. I'm a fan of in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
You saw the barbecue joint on Texas Monthly, the Burnt Bean. It was in Seguin.
Yeah, I saw that.
That place is expensive and hard to get into as it is, much less now that they're a Texas Monthly top 50 barbecue joint.
Next one they mentioned was the Salt Lick, which is they mentioned both locations, Driftwood and Round Rock. I've been to Round Rock more than Driftwood. The Round Rock one to me is not quite the same, and that may just be because it's not the original. But you can't go wrong with the Salt Lick. That's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, if I didn't have to go, well, I have races to go to. I should have gone to Salt Lake over the weekend.
Yeah, there you go. Louis Miller in Taylor. That's another one that one's really, really good.
Growing on me. What little bit of chance I've had a chance to have it, it's growing on me.
Yep, solid all the way across. Then you had Kreitz, which again, Lockhart. You've got 3 of them on there, and Kreitz is really good. I mean, I'll take out the family obligations or whatever. They kind of struggle also a little bit maybe on the sausage, but when it comes to good brisket, when it comes to some of the other stuff, the pork, the ribs and all that.
Don't get me started.
Kreitz, really, really good. I have never been, and I think that this is something that you and I and maybe the wives or whatever, we need to take a ride out. Snow's Barbecue in Lexington was the next one that came in.
That usually gets higher up on the list, but they're only open Friday, Saturday, and half a day Sunday till they run out.
And that's the other part to where it's like you're taking a gamble to where you're going to drive out there, you're going to wait in line for freaking ever, and they might run out. You know, you get up to the window and it's like, boop, closed. Sorry, we're out. I don't know. And I have no problem with this as we kind of trim this list down because, look, I love Lockhart. Lockhart is my hood. City Market in Luling. To anyone that comes to me and says, Lockhart Barbecue, I'm like, if it's too full, go to Luling.
But they run out of stuff too if you get there too late on a Saturday afternoon.
Absolutely. And the thing with Luling is I'm not a big barbecue sauce guy, but that sauce that they have.
I found the recipe to make it in a small batch in my parents' stuff when I was cleaning out their house. My dad had it in his room.
Nice.
Next time I'm over there, I'll take a picture of it and send it to you.
Absolutely.
It's easy to make. It's just a couple of cans of tomato sauce, some bright yellow mustard, and a bunch of hot sauce, salt and pepper.
Yep.
Super easy to make.
Really good job with them. Cooper's Old Time Barbecue. You've got Llano, Fort Worth, New Braunfels, Austin, and College Station. I think if I'm Cooper's, I would hit the original. That's another one to where it's like a destination thing. But I just have a really hard problem going to these places and waiting for freaking ever. You know,
Yeah,
where
the
it's
one in New
like,
Braunfels isn't bad. When we lived in New Braunfels, you used to hit it up all the time. They have a different kind of sausage there. It's not your
yeah,
brown sausage. It's more of a kind of a Polish style sausage up there. So
that's what I found in St. Louis, to where it's like when I had St. Louis barbecue, which was really good, but it wasn't the same. To where St. Louis barbecue, you needed sauce. To where, like, to me, the true definition, excluding luling, because you want the sauce because it's that damn good, is I don't want to have to put sauce on it. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
mean, I want some sides, but I don't want to rely on the sauce, and that's what St. Louis really seemed to do that Texas doesn't. Stanley's Famous Barbecue, Pit Barbecue in Tyler. I've never been there. I don't know what that is.
never heard of it.
Nope. Go to Houston, Triple J's Smokehouse. Never had that one either, somehow. And the Pecan Lodge in Dallas. Never been to that one.
Did you go to Hard 8 when you were up there?
I've had that.
Hard
a
8
lot
has
of
been there when we've been to TMS. They've done
yeah,
that.
yeah. I've had that a lot of different times, and that's really good. And it's where it kind of, I think that what gets me with the barbecue stuff now these days is, Bobby, pricing, because you've got
It's too damn
you've got
expensive.
yeah, you've got a lot of chains, kind of chain restaurants. We won't go into naming them, but I mean, they're really good. I mean, they're good, but I just don't want to pay that kind of money for chain barbecue. I'd rather go to one of the Lockhart places, or Luling, or Snow's, or something like that. If I'm going to pay out my ass, I kind of want it to be not worth the wait, but kind of worth the wait. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not 6 hours worth of wait, but
Yeah.
it's one thing to wait in the Kreitz line, for 30 minutes on a Saturday afternoon if you get there too late. But
Yeah. Or Kreitz or Smitty's and wait by the fire. When you get stuck by the fire, it's like, holy shit, come on, man.
yeah.
Leave that place with a sunburn, for crying out loud. But anyway, yeah, man, great weekend. I thought that we didn't talk about Monaco, whatever. I'm kind of soured on all that we're not going to have Monaco anymore. It's going to kind of ruin, I think, a lot of the flair right there. I guess, if anything, you wake up later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
I did. I got home from Cotton Bowl at 1:00.
Nice.
Of course, the races were over at 9:45, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got some big stuff happening this weekend. Let me get my notes back out over here, because I had all this written down. You've got the Spring Nationals coming up at Boot Hill, rescheduled. So you've got that going on. Lots of money on the line right there. You guys at Texana, down south, South Texas Race Ranch will be racing with 305 sprint cars, like we were talking about with John Carney. So I'm sure that's going to be a draw. I sure wish that Texana and Corpus weren't going head to head, but I totally get it. But not quite the buffet that we just went through this weekend, but I think still another kind of good hangover weekend for racing in these parts.
yeah, pretty good weekend to catch up on racing. Weather permitting, though, there's a lot of weather popping up throughout the end of the week, so we'll see how that affects some of this weekend racing.
Yep, absolutely. Great program. Thank you all for being a part of it. And again, a big thanks to John Carney, the driver of the Taco Casa 410 Sprint Car, number 2. Coolest sprint car and best tasting sprint car you're going to find on the racetrack. And of course, our man, Dustin Smith, checking in, pilot of the number 33 Pro Late Model and Super Late Model. He was a winner this past weekend at Mobile International Speedway. So for you, my man, back on the mic going this Saturday.
Yeah, it'll be fun. First time racing in a couple of weeks. Hopefully a lot of cars will be ready. We saw our buddy Tim Sewell said he's coming down to Edna the first time ever. So we'll see how well he shakes out. And we'll just have to see what the car count will look like after a couple of weeks. And although they did drop the news this week, the big race, the Atzenhofer Chevrolet Cadillac Summer Shootout, $41,000 total purse with our buddy KR coming down there at Texana on July 11th and 12th, Friday and Saturday night. So that should be a well of a good show.
Yeah, absolutely. That will be a big one as we roll on into a busy summer of racing happening up here in these parts. All right, you guys, we will do it again next Tuesday right here, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. Be sure and join in. Share that Facebook page. Subscribe to it. Be sure and check out RevvedUpSportsShow.com. If you happen to be on the Facebook page, be sure and like that.
And subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, all of them.
All that, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get the audio podcast. You can find that at Apple, Spreaker. I mean, all of them. It's everywhere. So
it's everywhere. Just Google it. You'll find it.
That's right. Be sure and catch that as well. We'll do it again next Tuesday. Bobby is in South Texas. I say South Texas. South Central Texas. I'm in North Texas, North Central Texas, nowhere near Dallas, where the storm is happening. Jeez, I tell you, what a mess. What'd you have last night? I saw all kinds of stuff happening out here.
Lots of rain and pea-sized hail. Luckily, that's about it.
Yikes! What a mess! What a mess! All right, you guys, we'll do it again next week on Tuesday, 7:00 Central, 8:00 Eastern. Be sure and check in. It is the Revved Up Sports Show. I'm Rodney. He's Bobby. We'll do it again. We'll see y'all soon. Go out to a racetrack. Find a racetrack. If you can't get to one, find a streamer that has some short track racing. See you guys next time. #Real Race Talk. It is the Revved Up Sports Show.